In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Welcome back to America in Black and White. I'm your host, Charles King, and tonight we're honored to share the story of a man whose journey embodies courage, authenticity, and the pursuit of purpose. Growing up in North Carolina, Rashaad Johnson dreamed of possessing superhuman abilities, not for himself, but to impact the world around him. With a loving family, but no blueprint for success, he vowed to be the one to break the barriers and create a new vision for his family's future. After earning a degree in electronics and computer technology with a minor in physics, Rashad made a bold decision that shocked many. He turned down a promising career in technology to pursue an unpaid internship with a nonprofit. That leap of faith led him to community building, entrepreneurship, and ultimately a life dedicated to service. For over a decade, Rashad has traveled the country, speaking, motivating, and transforming lives. He is the author of Caged Dream and Identical Contradiction, works that challenge us to break free from limitations and embrace our most authentic selves. Guided by his motto, pursue your passion, live your dream, Rashad reminds us that our gifts are not just for us, they are meant to uplift others. Tonight, we will explore his journey, his work as an author and speaker, and the powerful influences of his sister and Nat Turner on his life and career. This is a conversation about vision, authenticity, and legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rashad Johnson.
Hello, hello. How are you, sir? It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you on the show. So is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we get into the show?
I just like to say hello, hello, and I hope that my story and what I say can help you become the best versions of yourself.
Well, I'll tell you like this: anytime that you have the positivity, the authenticity, and the wherewithal and the resilience, such as yourself, is definitely uplifting and motivating. And I'm more than sure that you're going to make an impact here on the show tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
Let's start with your life story and your early journey. Can you tell us what was life like growing up in North Carolina?
Life for me growing up in North Carolina was fun. I had a really good childhood. I think my childhood, when I look back, I see how fortunate I was, and I see how different my life was from the viewpoint of a child than what it is now today. But I think I had an amazing childhood. I mean, I went through a lot of things. I had a lot of obstacles I had to overcome, but overall, it was really a great childhood. Like I say now, I was ignorant enough as a child to not know what was really going on, which kept me happy all the time. So.
But you know, as we get to be adults, and if we knew then what we know now, that would be something totally, totally different.
Absolutely.
Um, you dreamed of superhuman abilities. What did that mean to you as a child?
As a child, I was one of the kids that loved superheroes. I was always wanting to be out in the yard with a stick as my sword and a cape draped around my neck. I just knew I was going to be a superhero. Like I was almost to the point where I was delusional. Something is crazy. I think when this airs, my mom may hear this for the first time. when I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old, I really thought that I was a superhero. I remember playing in the yard with my uncle one day and throwing a frisbee, and the frisbee was thrown on top of the house. And he said, "Hey, let's get the frisbee down." So he put the ladder up to the house, and he was like, "I'm gonna put you on my neck. I'm gonna let you get it. I believe you can do it." Got on top of the house, threw the frisbee off. He said, "Hold on." He went to take the ladder and put it in the house. He's like, "I'm gonna let you jump down. I'm gonna catch you." Before he got back, I said, "I can do this." I jumped, Charles. I jumped straight out. I'm glad it was only a first story and the grass hadn't been cut for a while. So it was, I jumped straight out. And when I hit the ground as a kid, it was probably the most pain I'd ever felt before in my life. Of course, it knocked the wind out of me. I'm laying on the ground like, and my uncle, he comes around the corner. He's like, "What happened?" And he's frantic. Later on, you know, I was okay. Thankful I didn't break nothing, but I was like, I thought I could make it. And he just looked at me like, "This boy's crazy."
Oh, wow. But you know something? I think, as when you think big, especially in that manner, let me just ask you, and just thinking in that way and thinking about having superhuman abilities. I mean, what are the things that, as you've accomplished, as you come to this point now, what are some of those things that you thought that you could do and help your family with?
I thought that I'm a little disappointed in myself because by this age, I just knew I was going to be wealthy enough to buy everybody mansions in my family. I believed that I was going to be able to solve world hunger. Like as a kid, I was like, "There's no kid that's going to go hungry." And so I'm understanding perspective now, being a little older, and that's still my dream. That's still my goal. I just understand I haven't worked hard enough, long enough to make that happen. But as a kid, I really just wanted everybody to be okay. Like I saw certain things as a kid. I remember having friends and seeing they didn't have enough to eat or this. And I was always the one that wanted to step in. I was just like, something can be done. I can do something. I can figure out how to do this or how to do that. Even growing up sometimes with my mom and seeing her being a single parent, working two jobs sometimes, I was like, "Hey, she's not going to have to do this forever. I'm going to step in. And not only will I make sure she's okay, I'll make sure everybody in my family is okay. I'll make sure all my friends are okay." I've always had that desire to kind of take care of everybody.
Wow. So what is it about the fact of just being that people person and community? What is it about that gets you fueled?
I think the fuel for me is, and I think it's a gift. I'm what people would consider kind of an empath. Like I hate to see people suffering. I feel like I can feel sometimes people's pain, and I can feel people when they're not right and when they're hurting. And I hated that. I hated not being able to solve that because I know how it felt when I've experienced painful things in my life. I know how it felt when I experienced disappointment. And it was almost like I wanted to protect people from that. Like I didn't want anybody to feel that. So that's where it came from. Me just feeling that in my youth and not wanting anybody I cared about or anybody that I was concerned about to feel that as well.
Mm. So, how did your family shape your vision, even without a direct model of success?
Well, and I definitely want to clarify that. I would say my family, I came from a very loving family, and I'm very grateful. My family, tell people, my family was probably like most of the Black families in the United States. Like I had a very loving family, but you had the one-offs here and there. You had the cousin that was always into something. You had the uncle that was like, "I love him though. That's my uncle." Like, so you had all of that. But my grandfather was very, very influential to me. My grandfather was like, he was like a superhero to me. I used to say, when I grew up, I wanted to be just like my grandfather. Like so much so, I remember, so I'm brown skin, light brown skin. My grandfather was dark skinned. I remember as a kid, I don't know how old I was. I may be 4, 5, 6. I remember one summer day, I had on, my clothes. I took everything off with my shorts, took my shirt off, took my shoes off, socks off, summer day, and I'm laying out in the yard. And so grandfather comes out and said, "Boy, what are you doing?" I said, I'm trying to look like you, Papa. I just felt like I wasn't baked enough. Like, so I had to just lay out in the sun a little bit more. And to me, my logic was on point because I'm like, wait, I notice when I stay outside for long periods of time in the summer, my skin gets a little darker. So I'm like, if I just do this consistently for a while, I'll be that. So, and I'm saying all that to say I wanted to be like him so much because he was he was a manly man. He took care of his family. He taught me so much about life and being a man. So being in that type of environment, that really shaped me. And my grandfather, I think he was very successful for his time period. I mean, he took care of all of his family. He owned a house back then, and and so it was just I wanted to see more because I started seeing different things. I started to see people that had more than what we had, and seeing people that had other things. And so I wanted that, and so I wanted to be able to do more than what he had did. And he always told me, you should start from my shoulders. You should, what I've done, you should build on it. And so I took that to heart and say, his level of success, he did this, so now I can do more. And so that's what kind of shaped my mentality.
What motivated you to vow to be the one to break barriers in your family?
I think because I just wanted it done immediately. Like I saw, and not to say I don't want to paint the picture that nobody in my family is, successful. That's not the case.
Right.
But as a kid, I saw, like, I understand this is from a mind of a superhero. Like I saw people achieving a level of success, but I'm like, I'm looking up here. Like I need the mansions, I need this. And it wasn't all about the material, but I just wanted the ability to see what I saw. I remember the first time I went into a very wealthy neighborhood in my hometown and was driving through, and I just started thinking, like, wait, why don't we live here? Like why aren't we here? And so that really motivated me. I mean, even meeting different people and meeting all kinds of people. I met a lot of people that had less than me, but I met people that had more than me too. And I just thought, well, being a superhero, it's possible. I got to learn how to tap into these superpowers and make this happen. And so that's always kind of been my mindset.
So how did your degree in electronics and computer technology with a minor in physics influence your perspective?
I would say I'm very proud of that degree. And I went to the most prestigious university in the universe. I'm an Aggie, North Carolina A&T State University. I think that getting that degree, it made me a man. It taught me how to persevere. It taught me accomplishment because it wasn't easy. Like in getting to my whole college career, that's a whole nother conversation. The obstacles that I had to overcome in college, I think getting that degree was a huge accomplishment for me, not just for the knowledge, not just to say I have a degree, but the fact that I persevered through something and accomplished it. And even while in college, I remember being so excited because when you get into bigger places, no matter what they are, it could be the workplace, it could be a new job here or a different environment or neighborhood, you start to meet people from other areas and you see how other people live and you understand other people's culture. And I met people at A&T from all around the world. Like there were students that I knew that were from, Florida and from the Northeast and were from the West Coast and were from England and were from Africa and was from all these other places. And I started to understand all these cultures. And that really gave me a very well-rounded view of people because, up until then, all I known was my neighborhood or my city. And that's what it was. And so that accomplishment allowed me to see that, one, I was capable of doing whatever I decided to do. And two, it let me know how much energy and consistency it takes to really achieve a dream. Because I was in college for 5.5 years. It was a 4-year program. I could have gotten out in 4, but I lost my mind for about 1.5 years, partying and everything else. But even persevering through that and continuing to push through, it gave me a sense of accomplishment. So that really gave me a huge bolt of confidence once I graduated and launched out into the world.
So with that perspective, is that what helped to influence you being so multifaceted in the many things that you do?
think it did. It did, because I saw people that had other talents and had other gifts and abilities and were able to do other things that I couldn't do and were very great in areas that I wasn't. But it really let me see that, wait, there's so much more to life and there's more that I can do. So I really had to tap back into that almost superhero mindset. Like, wait, I'm not doing enough. Like, I haven't accomplished enough yet, because I felt like there were still people, and it's such a burden, but a good burden to me today. Like, I feel like there's still so much more that I have to do just to make sure that the people I love and care about are good for the rest of their life. Like, I want them to have the best, because there's people out here experiencing the best in the world, and whatever it is, whether it's the way you live, or your bank account, or the food you eat every day, or the places you visit, or where you're able to vacation. It's people experiencing the best. And for me, my motivation is to get everybody around me to experience the best.
So what went through your mind when you turned down a promising job in New Orleans?
Well, I'm going to start by telling you what went through my family's mind. And they were all like, we told you this boy was crazy. Like, we told you. they and some of my family was angry, rightfully so. Like, my grandmother, grandfather, mom, they were a little angry. My grandparents more than anything, and I understand that now, because they played an integral part in helping me get my education. Mm-hmm. My grandparents are like my second set of parents. They really helped me a lot. And so they were angry, because they were like, you've been doing all of this, and you've sacrificed for 5.5 years and done what you needed to do to finally graduate, and you're going to turn this opportunity down. But for me, it was now I'll tell you why I really did it. One, it was twofold. One, I remember, for homecomings, people that were older than me that would come back from homecoming, and I was curious. So I was like, what do you do every day at work? Like, I know what we were learning in the classroom, but I wanted the practical application. Like, what do you actually do every day? What are you doing? Like, what projects do they have you working on? Everything they had to say revolved 95% around sitting at a desk at a computer all day. And that scared me. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not cut out for that. Like, I know I'm good at this, but just sitting at a desk behind a computer all day, like for 8 hours, that scared me. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. Like, I need to do something else. But then I realized I had such a love. I've always had a love for people. I wanted to help make people better. That's why eventually I said, hey, I'm going to turn that down, and I'm going to move in a different direction, because I know I'm built and I was born to help people. And I just don't see how this is going to get me there. Now, hindsight, I probably should have taken, I'm not saying what I should have done, but it would have been okay if I would have taken that job and learned from there. I could have learned a lot of things. But in my mind, I was like, I got to help people now. And so I turned that down, and me and a few people, we got together and we started a group home for underprivileged kids. And these were troubled teens, basically. We had teens, when they came to our group home, all of them had a record. All of them had gotten in some type of trouble, had terrible home lives, had been in, just messed up situations. So we were trying to help give them a second chance, to help revamp them. And that was the type of work that I felt I was built for, that I was born for. And so that's why I did it. I'm grateful that I did it. And I eventually got back into the tech world. So the last several years, or last almost, wow, say that out loud, the last almost 20 years, I've been working in some form of, it's crazy when you say it out loud. Like, I've been working in some form of, technology initially, but it's me turning down that job opportunity was about me just being true to me and saying, Rashaad, I'm supposed to help people. I don't know why. Now, some of it was youthful ignorance, because I still, that money could have helped me help people so much quicker and so much better. But I don't regret it, because I was true to myself and said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be helping people. So that's what I did.
I'm going to tell you, I think anytime, when you get to that point, because it seems like you were at a reflecting point. And what it sounds like to me is that, you realize that, yes, you did get that degree, but it sounds like doing the work with people was so much more for you. And so, in looking at that, and again, going back to perspective, like when the group home that you guys have started, and you got this nonprofit going and you're doing all this wonderful work, what is it about this sector and really just pulling these people in and making an impact on these lives that impacts you?
I really, I love to see people become better. And
Mhm.
it makes me happy to see people happy. And me helping them become better in every area of their life, and that leads to them becoming happier. That leads to them becoming more confident with themselves. That leads to them becoming more content with themselves and happier with life overall. And so I really wanted to push that. Like that was my goal. I hate to see people suffering, and that's a huge blessing. It can be a curse sometimes because you feel like you want to save everybody, and that doesn't end well all the time. But I'm grateful that that has been my mindset. I'm grateful that I went through all of that. I'm grateful even after the group home, I started teaching in alternative schools, and so these are the schools. Of course, alternative school is just you get kicked out of public school. This is where you have to go. You've done something behavior wise, get kicked out, and so that was the population I always I dealt with for a long time. The people that nobody else wanted to deal with, the kids that nobody else wanted to reach, the kids that everybody else thought were just, terrible and unreachable. And I want to tell people these kids are not bad. I know they do bad things, but most of these kids, all they need is love and discipline. And you can't have one without the other. I've learned that, and I'm not saying this as a theory. I'm telling you what I've learned from years of working with youth. These kids need love and they need discipline, and you can't have one without the other, or they're going to suffer. And so that's what really pushed me to see. And I think with it being kids, it touched a different place in my heart. Like adults, I don't want to see adults suffer, but sometimes I'm like, you were stupid. You need to suffer for that. Your decisions you made, you deserve that. It's going to teach you a lesson. But kids, I'm like, it stirs something different in me.
Mhm. How did that unpaid internship change the trajectory of your life?
So that changed a lot. And I'm gonna tell you, it started before that internship. So let me tell you what led up to me making that decision. So I know we talked before, and I was telling you, my sister is one of the people that I do this for her. So my sister was killed my last semester in college. So my last semester in college, middle of the semester, I have 21 hours. Like a full load is only 15. But again, I was in school for 5.5 years, played around, partied. I had to take 21 hours that semester to graduate. I had to get special approval from the dean just to take that and he fought me on it. He was like, Rashaad, just take half this semester and the other half next semester. I told him I can't. Like I've been here 5.5 years. I have to get out this semester. Like I'm scared if I don't get out this semester, it's going to linger on for another year and another year. So I said, I have to get out this semester. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to pass these classes. And these weren't any light classes. These weren't elective classes. Like I had electric circuits classes. I had physics classes. I had all of this my last semester. The middle of the semester, my sister gets killed. And at first, I was just like, I'm done. I'm gonna just have to start all over next semester. I thank God at the time I had a mentor, my big brother. I call him my big brother. He's like a brother to me. And he sat down and had a conversation with me. And he said, Rashaad, I know this is the most devastating thing that's ever happened in your life. I know it's you're hurt, you're devastated, you're not feeling up to it. But he said, you have to finish. He said, you have to continue. He said, he was like, and I don't want to sound heartless, but I want to tell you as a man and as a Black man, this is life. We don't always get to choose how our life goes, but The measure of a man is how he responds after difficulty, how he responds after tragedy, how he responds after disappointment. And he was like, you have it in you. I know it's going to be hard, but you have to finish. And so I really buckled down. And that's that's what started my whole mentality to change. When I graduated that semester, everybody was happy at graduation, but for me, it was something different. Like knowing all I had been through that semester. And that's when I made the decision. It's like, I said, listen, I'm going to do what I feel like I was put on this earth to do, because that was a sobering event for me. And it reminded me, hey, we don't have forever, and we don't even know how long we have. And I don't feel like I can waste any time doing anything I'm not supposed to do. So that's what started me making that decision. And that unpaid internship, I was serving in a ministry capacity where, again, being very selfless. And that kind of that helped reshape and guide my thought process. And it was then I was just like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be helping people. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be, making the world. This is why I was born. I understood I was born to help make people the best versions of themselves. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do that, but I knew that was my purpose. So that unpaid internship was right after the turn of events of college. And that was kind of, it wasn't the turning part, that internship, but it was kind of the accelerator to the turn I was already making.
Sounds like the superhuman powers was paying off.
Yes, listen, yeah, I had to be a superhero to get through that. It was tough.
What lessons did you learn from building a community-focused business with peers?
I learned so many lessons. I think anybody that's done anything entrepreneurially, you understand that most of your learning comes after you decide to build the business. And you can go to school, you can learn everything on theory you want to learn, but actually putting that into a practical working effort, I learned everything. It taught me the value of work. I understood that we know you don't, even if whatever you believe, you don't plant a seed today and get the harvest tomorrow. You plant the seed, you till the ground, you water the ground. There's time there's a process. And that's the same thing for life. And that's what I learned. Like there is a process, because we worked for months and months and months before any of us got a check. And so it taught me a lot about really focusing on something and really putting in work effort. It also taught me how to work with people, because of course, like we didn't all get along. You got 4 or 5 guys who we're all grown. We all have different mentalities. We're all, sacrificing to make this business work. We're not getting paid as quick as we thought we were. So the pressures of life and bills and everything else. Listen, there were some times I couldn't stand them dudes. And I know they would say the same about me, but I'm so grateful for them and what we learned together. But it taught me really the value of building something. And I respect anybody that's built anything. I don't care how small your business is. I have such a respect for them, because it takes a lot to build something. It's easy to come in, not easy, but it's easier to come in and just work something where there's a syllabus and there's a game plan for you and you know what you're supposed to do. But to build something and have to figure all of that out, that taught me so many life lessons. I'm forever grateful for that.
So how did those early experiences prepare you for your work today?
Those experiences prepared me because it gave me so much material to teach. And when I teach about my life experience. I feel like I've lived so many different lives in my short young life. I learned how to, one, make it happen. I remember one of the people I used to work with, we didn't know what we were doing sometimes. We were doing all of this from scratch, learning on the job, learning as we go. But our mentality was just, okay, make it happen. I don't know how to do this. It doesn't matter. Make it happen. And so that became my mentality. So I developed this mentality that there's no such thing as me saying, okay, I just can't do it. I can't figure out how to do it. I have to learn how to do it, research how to do it, ask somebody, call somebody, see who they know, go to the library, read a book on it. Like there's no such thing as, oh, I just can't do it. No, you have to make it happen, figure out how to do it. And that shaped everything that I'm doing now, because even now as a speaker and an author, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier because when I talk and when I teach, I'm not just talking theory. I'm not just talking about things that I think sound good or things that I think, may help people. I'm talking about practical life applications that I lived and worked through, that I know these principles are proven, and this is going to help somebody.
So, what role did faith or personal conviction play in those bold decisions?
Everything. Faith is everything. So I just, even on social media, I put up short videos and things all the time, just thought pieces. One I just put up, I put it up years ago, and it was it's not controversial at all. There's been some people thought it was controversial. I don't think it's controversial at all. The video, in the beginning, I just says, the title of the video is "Prayer Changes Nothing," and immediately anybody from the church world will hear that and be like, "Wait, what are you talking about? Like, hold up, pump your brakes, bro." But I say it all the time: prayer changes nothing. And what I mean is, it's not just the prayer that changes anything. It's the faith and the work that you put to what you're believing, you're asking for, that causes everything to change. Because there's people that pray and don't really have the faith and don't put any works behind it, and nothing happens. There's people that don't pray, but they have the faith to believe and they put the work behind it, and things happen. So the key is the faith and the works. Like, that's everything. You have to, and faith is simply believing. And if you believe, you act as if. Some people say, "Oh, I believe." No, that's hope. There's a difference between hope and faith, because some people just hope for stuff because they don't do anything about it. If you say you believe something is going to happen, or you're believing for something to happen and you're not doing anything, that's hope. That's not faith. Faith is you believing is happening. So you're preparing your life for it to happen. You're actively working to make it happen. You're actively believing in whether it's yourself, whether it's your higher power, whether it's God, whatever it is that you believe fuels you. It takes a huge amount of belief, but it also takes a lot of work in tandem to make that happen. So I think faith is everything. And oftentimes, if you don't have faith, you have nothing, because faith is, think about, I use this example. Tomorrow doesn't exist. We've never seen tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow. There's nobody that can guarantee us 100% that tomorrow will ever come. But me believing that tomorrow is going to come, what do? I prepare for tomorrow. I work to save money to pay bills tomorrow. I work to save money to buy things for tomorrow. I work to save money to buy food for tomorrow. Why? Because I believe and I have faith that tomorrow is going to come. It may or may not, but I'm working actively to make sure that happens. So I believe faith is everything.
Let's pause a few seconds. I want to do a commercial break here to do a short promo. Thank you, sir. So let's transition over to your work as an author. Can you tell us what inspired you to write Caged Dreams in 2016?
Let me tell you what inspired me to write that. I was working in corporate America at the time, and it was two reasons, but it was one event. I'd always felt like there's something more, like that I'm supposed to be doing something more. Because again, and it's not like I hadn't tasted that, because right out of college, started doing my own thing, helping people. But after a while, I was working as a teacher for a while after the group home. And I worked as a teacher for a while until I realized I had some very lofty goals and some very big aspirations. and that teacher salary degree just wasn't getting it. So that's when I went into the IT field. I was like, let me use this degree I got. So I went into IT, started making more money. In 2016, I was working in the IT field, doing IT sales at the time. And there was this, I don't remember what his title was. One of the big wigs from the company was coming in to talk to us. He had a meeting with my department, and he told this really corny joke that wasn't funny at all. And everybody laughed, and I giggled too. And I was like, and I immediately got mad at myself. I was like, wait, Rashaad, why are you laughing? That wasn't funny at all. Like, why? I got angry with myself. I was like, why are you laughing? Because it wasn't just about the joke. It was like, okay, wait, why did you do that? Why did you feel the need to have to want to even fit in? Why did you feel the need to have to want to be accepted by these people? Like, why did you even feel that? And so that's what started me writing Cage Dream. And Cage Dream was literally me knowing that I had a huge dream on the inside of me, but I felt caged by my current circumstances. I felt caged by that job. I felt caged by just the mentality of a job in general, and me not doing what I was doing. Because even though I was doing well on the job and I was making money, I felt like, okay, my 40 hours a week is going to just really, when you boil it down, is going to help make rich people richer. Like, I'm not affecting anybody's life like I feel like I was born to do. So that's what started Cage Dream. That's what started me writing Cage Dream. And when I started writing that book, I actually never wanted to be an author. And so the flip side of that is the honest flip side. That's true, but this is also true. I was a speaker, and I started speaking. I had a mentoring group that I was doing because I was still doing that on the side. And I remember one of my mentors said, hey, as a speaker, you need to be seen. He said, Rashaad, you have a big wealth of knowledge. You have a lot of experience. But as a speaker, you need to be seen as an expert. He was like, you need to write a book. He was like, because once you become an author, people look at you a little different. You know, you have all these thoughts in your head, but once you become an author, there's a little more respect that goes with that. And it'll help you in your speaking career. And that's honestly why I started writing my first book, because I never wanted to. I was the type, let me tell you what I said. I remember when I graduated from college, I remember I told everybody, I said, listen, the last book I read, that's going to be the last book I read. Like, I don't want to read another book. I don't want to, I didn't. I didn't, to this day, I read, and I have a library here full of books, but I didn't necessarily like reading. Like, even in school, I didn't like reading. I love science and math. I hated reading. I'm like, why? I didn't like writing. Like, I like creating, but I didn't like it. And so I remember my mentor, he told me this, and I tell my kids this, I tell my other mentees this to this day. I said, I don't really, like that. He was like, you need to read this book, you need to read that book, you need to read this book. And after you read those books, I think you need to start writing a book. And I was like, I read all these books. Like, I was like, I don't really like reading like that. And he was like, okay, you don't have to like it. You just got to do it. And he just went on to the next subject. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, he just treated me like a kid. He was just like, you don't have to like it. You just got to do it. But that stuck with me. And I was like, you're right. That's the best thing for me to do. And so I've adopted that mentality. And to this day, I tell myself that, Rashaad, a lot of things I don't like doing. But I have this mentality. I don't have to like it. I just got to do it, because it's not about what I like. It's about the desired outcome. And so that's how I got on the road to becoming an author and penning my first book.
Wow. What message did you want readers to take away from that book?
From that book, I wanted them to understand that if they had a dream, they should pursue it, period. Right now, today. You should start today. Because that was what I started doing. I had a dream. I wanted to do certain things, but I hadn't really put the effort to doing it that I know I needed to until I started writing that book. And so even with that book, I wanted people to read my book. And this is what I really honestly want. I wanted people to read my book and immediately start working on their dream. Whatever that was, immediately get to work. Not just be inspired to dream, or not just be inspired to to think about something, but I wanted them to get to work immediately. Like even in the book, I put in the book, it was very intentional. After every chapter, I would ask questions at the end of the chapter. And after every chapter, I have a few blank pages with lines just for people, to document and write down those questions. And again, that's not for me. I'll never see all those books, but I wanted to give them a blueprint to help them develop a blueprint to start working on their dream immediately. That's what I wanted from that book.
Oh, wow. Can you tell us, how did writing Identical Contradiction differ from your first book?
Oh, good. So Cade's Dream was just my first shot at being an author and learning how to write a book and learning how to put thoughts down. And I'm forever proud of that book. Identical Contradiction is like me taking the gloves off a little. There's certain things in Cade's Dream that I may have thought that I wouldn't say, or I try to phrase it another way. Identical Contradiction is not that. Like Cade's Dream is very, most kids, it's okay for them to read it. Identical Contradiction is the same thing, but I let people know, listen, I'm gonna cuss every now and then. Just me. Like it's not just to do it to be doing it. It's just authentically me. Identical Contradiction, even the picture. So show you the picture was very important for me. Like, so this was my idea. And so even the picture, I wanted people to see the two versions of me, because both of these are very much me. I mean, you see the guy in the emoji shirt, but you see the guy in the suit as well. Both of those are me. It's sad, but depending on how I'm dressed all my life, I've realized that people treated me different. People addressed me different. And in Identical Contradiction, I talk about the different sides of a person and give people permission to be whoever you are, whatever sides of you there are, because sometimes we feel like we have to do this and we have to fit in this box and we have to do this to be successful. And Identical Contradiction is where I'm very honest and raw. I talk about how I know the decisions I made. I know it cost me in my career. And I tell people, I talk about being your authentic self, but just the reality and the honesty of it is, you being authentically you in this world, it's going to cost you sometimes, because everybody isn't ready for that. Everybody isn't accepting of that. And even in the professional world, I make it very clear. I have a lot of mentees. I talk to a lot of younger people. I teach them how to be professional. I teach them how to operate in a professional setting. I teach them all of that. But I'm also, more importantly, teaching them, be authentically you. Don't allow yourself to change for the worse for anybody. Like, and even in one of the underlying messages in this book is stop code switching, where I tell people I had to learn, and it was through trial and error. It started with Cade's Dream, but it was through trial and error where I got to a point, even in my career, where I just decided I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to be authentically me. Like, I got angry at myself years ago, laughing at that joke, but I started evaluating and realized, from the way I cut my hair, to the way I cut my beard, so most times I would shave it off, to the way I did so many things because I wanted to fit into the mold of what I thought they wanted to see to be successful. And in Identical Contradiction, I just said, hey, this is me. Love it or leave it. It doesn't matter anymore, because everyone, and I was taught this by my grandfather at an early age. He said, everybody is not going to like you, no matter what you do. So stop living your life for the approval of others, because no matter what you do, you're still not going to make everybody like you. Exactly. And it's sad that it took me being an adult to really understand. I understood it, but when you go through life experiences, you really understand it. And I'm at the point now in my life where I realize that the best thing I can do is be authentically me. Because I just put out another short video. I use this example. If I had to bang a nail into a wall, and I didn't have a hammer, I could take off my hard bottom shoe and bang that nail into the wall. I could do that. But if I had to bang 1,000 nails into the wall, and I'm using that hard bottom shoe, after a while, I'm going to damage that shoe, because shoe wasn't meant for that. A hammer was meant for that. And sometimes we put ourselves in situations where we're trying to conform and do something we weren't designed to do, and it damages us on the inside. It damages us emotionally. Code switching, I believe, damages us emotionally. I believe it damages us mentally. And again, I tell people, I'm not talking about being professional. I'm talking about altering the way you talk and altering the way your personality is and altering the way your appearance is to that nth degree to where you're trying to fit into something. And so identical contradiction is me. When they read Kay's dream, I want them to dream and start working on their dream or their goals, whatever it is. When they read identical contradiction, I want them to evaluate their life, and I want it to help them develop a roadmap back to being their true, authentic selves, no matter what that is.
So let me ask you something, because that title, Identical Contradiction, I love that title, and it's like it says so many things. Take us inside you coming up with this title and what that means.
Let me tell you some of the things that led to that. I remember talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how people perceive us in the workplace, and we were sitting laughing. And then a few weeks later, I had a conversation with a coworker, and I was telling them some of the things I did or I had done in my life, and they were just like, "You?" And I was like, "Yes." And it was like they were really floored, and I was like, "Wow." And I realized that even me in my life to this day, there's people that if people know me, there's usually two different opinions you're going to get of Rashaad. The people that know me on just a professional level or that have met me in person, they'll say certain things about me. When they come character-wise, they'll say he's very laid back, or some may even look at it as shy or reserved when you meet, because that's how people perceive me in the workplace. Where people that really know me, that I have a personal relationship with, will be like, Rashaad is just he's live and he's a joy to be around and he's crazy and he's funny. And both of those opinions are true, but those are just two parts of me that I show in different arenas or different situations. And even though I'm telling people to be authentically them, and some people question like, wait, well, you're saying being authentically you, but these people have different perceptions of you. And I'm like, yes, as humans, we're dynamic. Like, I don't talk the same way to my mother than I do my friends. I don't talk the same way to people in the workforce as I do my children. We adapt and we alter the way we communicate and the way we are to different people in different scenarios. But all of that is us. That's why the title Identical Contradiction. There's some people that see what I do in the workplace. If they were to know everything that happens in my personal life, they would be shocked and floored. Like, wow, I would have never thought. And I'm like, yeah, I never had a desire to let you in. Like, I don't have a lot of personal conversations with people at work. I don't talk about a lot of ideas. I'm at work. I tell people I go to work to make money, period. I'm not here to make friends. No, I don't want to come to your house. It's a big deal to even get me to go to the company potluck. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I don't want to, but I don't want to go to the company Christmas party. I'm going to do it because it's going to be good for my career. But it's a lot to me, and just everybody isn't privileged to see all sides of me.
I like that. And that says a lot, because as I look at that book cover and I look at the title, I mean that could be endless conversation, because I think it's the ultimate piece of abstract art. Because when you show the two sides of you like that, it's like, which one am I going to get? What is he going to do, or what is he going to do? Why is he doing this and he's not? But at any rate, I love that title, and it's just interesting how you came up with that title. Because has anyone ever asked you about that? Why did you come up with that title?
I get asked about it all the time in reference to the book, and it was something just I thought about long and hard. And And I was like, I want this book to be a reflection of me, but I want it to be more of a reflection of my thoughts. Like, I don't want it to be so much about me, but more of my mentality and how I think. And so even with the pictures, when I took the photo shoot, I was very intentional. I was like, told my photographer, this is what I want to do. Like, I literally said, hey, the photo shoot was 2 days. The first picture was me in the beard, and the second picture I shaved everything off because I wanted people to see those different versions. But what I did leading up to that, I had different covers, and I surveyed a lot of people, and I would ask them, which picture do you like for my cover? And I didn't have the pictures, both of them side by side. And most people, it was about 90% people that knew me only in the professional world said that's the picture with the suit. People that knew me as a person, like, no, this is the one that shows more your personality. This is who you are. And I realized that I'm sure you've known this, as a Black man in this country, the way you're dressed, it maybe should or shouldn't be, but it's just the way it is. The way you're dressed has a lot to do with how people perceive you and how they treat you. Fair, unfair, it doesn't matter. Whatever your thoughts are, those are your thoughts. But the reality is, it has a lot to do with how people treat you. And I realize, I understand when I'm dressed up in a suit and tie, going wherever, I'm treated drastically different than when I'm just hanging out, wearing whatever, doing whatever. It's a total different level of respect, and it's a total different way people relate to you.
So what does being your most authentic self mean to you?
It means being honest with you. That's the brunt of it. Everybody say I keep it 100. I keep it real. I tell people, listen, I'm trying to be my most authentic self. I don't keep it 100. I keep it 99 because I'll lie every now and then. And so I'm trying to be as honest with me as possible. I would ask people certain questions, like things that I went through in the corporate world, and ask people, well, if your boss asked you X, Y, and Z, what would you tell them? If somebody at work asked you X, Y, and Z, what would you tell them? Would you tell them the truth, or would you tell them what you need to tell them, to get it done? And I just presented all these scenarios, and not to saying any answer is right or wrong, but my goal was to get people to think, who are you really? And what do you really think? For example, sometimes the way I dress, people, I will say every now and then, things that I wear, I know it's not in style. Like, it's not what people are wearing right now. And I don't care, because I like it. Like, I like it. And if I like it, I'm aware. Like, let me tell you, from the woman in my life to my own brother, sometimes my mom, my friends, every now and then they'll be like, Rashaad, what are you wearing? I'm like, oh, y'all, I love this. You don't like this? Sometimes I get ready to. I remember one time, a long time ago, showed up to a wedding, me and some friends of mine from college. And I have this picture's on social media. And one of my good friends, he said, Rashaad, this picture is the perfect explanation of you. He said, when people ask, who is Rashaad? How's Rashaad? He said, I always show them this picture. There's a picture, it's like 10 of us at the wedding. Everybody dressed up in either a black or navy blue or gray suit. I had on a gold suit. A gold suit it was a zoot suit with a long jacket. Like, listen, I'm like, and when I walked in, all of my friends, they were clowning me. They still, to this day, they was like, what are you wearing? I was like, this hot ain't. They was like, no, it's not. You look like Michael Irvin. I was like, listen, this suit is fire. I don't care what y'all say. And they still joke with me to this day about this suit. But I honestly don't care, because I like that suit and I would wear it again. Now, I think, I don't say a lot about, past relationships, but I got a bone to pick with my ex-wife, because I think she threw that suit out because I couldn't find it after a while. I know she threw that suit out. I know she threw some of my clothes away Because she was like, please don't wear that. I'm like, first of all, I'm a grown man. I'm gonna wear it. If I like it, I'm gonna wear it. And that's just indicative of me being who I am. Like, I know sometimes when I go out, people look at me and laugh or talk about me. I don't care. If I like it, I'm gonna wear it.
Right.
People like, that's not in style. I don't care nothing about a style. Like, if I like it, I'm gonna wear it. But and I don't do that just to stick out. I do that because I'm teaching myself to do what you really want to do. Do what comes natural to you. Do what you really feel. That's part of you being authentically you. Just a small part of it.
Oh, wow. So how have readers responded to identical contradiction?
That's a very humbling question. And I can say I've had a lot of positive feedback, and it's really kind of touched me because it did what I intended for it to do. It made people reevaluate their lives. It made people look at things a different way. I had people, even some of my peers, come up to me and say, "Hey, after I read it, I've always thought, I'm authentically me. I'm real." But he was like, even some of the questions that you asked, it really made me really evaluate certain parts of my life a little differently. It made me think about it a little differently, and it's helped make me a better person because it's made me more honest with myself. Like this book, people always say, be honest. I mean, the truth is, everybody doesn't want honesty. Everybody doesn't want honesty. And I say this jokingly, but most men, that if you've ever been in a relationship, imagine your spouse coming to you and saying, "Hey, does this dress make me look fat?" Now, how many are going to answer that honestly? How many are going to be honest? Now, I'm not saying what I'm going to say in that situation, but I've said before, I find a way to not lie, but I'm trying to be as honest as possible too. But I say that to say, I use that example to say, people really all the times don't want honesty. People talk about keeping it 100. Everybody doesn't want honesty. They say they do. They want you to be honest about most things, but everything, they don't want you to be honest. Like, think about if the person you were with, you out, and they like, I don't know why people ask these stupid questions, but you think that person looks better than me? Everybody don't want honesty. Some people just want to feel good and they want their ego stroked. And so now I've been in a place where I've had to sometimes, getting it right. Sometimes you go far left, sometimes you go far right. Like, it's a balancing act. Because I've been in the opposite sides of each spectrum, giving the wrong answer sometimes. But it's a balancing act to be honest with people and still learn how to be compassionate and still learn how to care for people's feelings. But my goal is to be as honest with me as I possibly can.
Oh, wow. Let me ask you this, because you speak philosophically a lot. Are you a big philosophy person?
I am.
Okay.
I love philosophy and psychology. I
Okay.
I was about to change my major to psychology when I was in college. I took one psychology class and I fell in love with it. It was industrial psychology. I will never forget. I fell in love with it. I was like, I'm changing my major. Like, it's all about psychology because I want to know. I love diving in and learning how we think and why we think the way we do and why we operate the way we do as humans. Like, I love that. I can talk to people about that all day long. The only reason I didn't change my major to psychology, I actually went to my advisor and said, "Hey, I want to change my major to psychology. What do I need to do?" I went to somebody in the psychology department. They said, "Okay, well, you're a technology major, so not too much is going to transfer. So it'll be about another 3 years for you." I was like, never mind. I got to get up out of here. I can't take too much longer. But I love philosophy and psychology. I love humans. Like, I love the way we think. I think human behavior is one of the most amazing things there is in the world.
What challenges did you face in writing and publishing your books?
Ooh, a lot. I can say I've had to teach myself as a business owner. as an author, as a speaker, I've had to teach myself how to be organized. Organization wasn't a huge strong point of mine. I've learned how to organize not just the business of writing the book and how to write it and how to compose it. That takes a lot of organization itself. But what I learned most is how to organize my thoughts. And that's helped me a lot with life. Because as an artist and as a creative, sometimes I'm all over the place. Like I'm thinking this, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. But I've had to learn how to harness all of that and really organize my thoughts. And that's helped me in every area of my life. Because sometimes a day in the life of Rashaad, if I didn't have a job, I would do at least 10 to 15 different things every day. Because I do this for about 15 minutes. Oh, I'm tired of this. Let me do this. And I'd be moving from thing to thing because I have all of these thoughts of all these things I want to get done. And I'm just trying to, like, while I'm thinking about this, let me do this. But it taught me how to kind of center myself and really organize my thoughts. And so it taught me a lot about business, construction, and everything else, constructing thoughts and constructing a book and the business part of the marketing. That's a whole nother deal with marketing and everything else. But more than anything, it taught me how to sit down and organize my thoughts.
Let's transition over to your work as a speaker and community engagement. What inspired you to begin speaking and motivating others?
Well, I've been since I was a kid. I love to communicate, and it was really my love to communicate my thoughts because I used to ask a lot of questions as a kid because I was always curious as to why did this happen? How does this work? Or why do people do this? And when I would really think about the whys, I would want to communicate what I thought about it. And so that remember being in an oratorical contest when I was like maybe 12, 13 years old, and speeches in school. And I liked them, but I only liked communicating my thoughts. I wasn't the type that just wanted to see a speech that somebody had or see a poem and just recite what they did. I wanted to communicate what I thought. And so that's what started me wanting to speak. And as I got older, I remember the kind of philosopher and psychologist in me. I had all of these thoughts. And then I started realizing how some of these thought processes could help people. So natural way to convey that and communicate that. So that's what really got me, is me just want to tell people my perspective on things.
How do you prepare for speaking engagements?
So I prepare for speaking engagements similar to the way I did. I played sports all my life. And in anything, practice, 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 practice. So I tell people, even speakers that are coming up, it's like, if you want to deliver a performance, a speech, whatever it is, you have to know it like you know your name. You have to be able to do it without thinking, because the minute you start thinking about what you're going to do, professional athletes will tell you the same thing. Like the minute you start thinking, you have to be instinctive with it. The minute you start thinking about it, you're doing too much. But me, to prepare for speeches, I really, and this doesn't shock anybody that knows me, hardcore rap is what gets me in the mindset of really ready to perform. Like me putting on some Biggie or Pac, like that does it for me. It gets me excited, it gets me motivated, and it gets me ready to deliver a speech about telling people how to become the best versions of themselves. I know that's not what they're rapping about, but it's just that energy and that mentality that does it for me. Like that's what gets me. If you've ever seen me speak, minutes before I'm speaking, I'm in the hallway with earphones in. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're listening to meditation. No, Pac has guided me. Biggie has guided me right now. Like this, and it's just the energy. It's not the materials, the energy that I need to deliver.
Mm. What's the most memorable moment from your 10 plus years of speaking?
Wow. The most memorable moment from my 10 plus years of speaking, I spoke at this university. It was a mostly white university. When I got through speaking, and I was speaking, it was an MLK Day. They hired me for an MLK Day presentation. They got a version of MLK they was not ready for. The beginning of my speech, where I say, listen, MLK, we all know he had a dream. And we all know he was assassinated. I just want to preface this and let you know, Martin wasn't killed because he had a dream. Martin was killed because he woke up. And I start talking about the Martin that people didn't know. And that's the whole other conversation. But at the end of that speech, the university president was there with his wife and with his kid. University president's wife came up to me and was like, Mr. Johnson, I want to show you something. And I said, okay. And she showed me this notebook with nothing on it, like this pad with nothing on it. And I'm like, am I being punked or something? Like, what's going on? Like, is this invisible ink? Like, what is happening here? And she said, this is my child's notebook. And whenever we go, she's like, we have to go to, to stuff like this all the time. And I always bring like a notepad and something else to keep her busy. She's 9 or 10 years old, to keep her busy. She said, you kept her attention the whole time. She said she was asking me questions about what you were saying. She was like, that's never happened before. She was like, you're a really engaging person. It's like you're having a conversation with everybody there. And the little girl was like, you did really good. And I saw it in her eyes. And I was like, that was a huge compliment, because to keep a child's attention that's hard. And so that was the most impactful thing. I was talking to adults. I wasn't talking to children, adults and college students, talking on that level the whole time. I think she may have been the only kid there, but to get that compliment at the end, that's when it really hit.
How do you connect with diverse audiences across the country?
I think, I won't say it's easy, but I would say I look at people as people. And there's certain things that all people have in common. There's certain things that all humans have in common. And I really think we're so much more alike than we are different. And so when I look at an audience, I'm looking at the souls of these people. I'm not looking at the exterior. I'm not looking at who prefers this, whose politics is this. I'm looking at the souls, and my goal is, how can I impact these souls? And so that's easy. Like we all, as humans, we all do certain things. And all humans, in my opinion, have had to overcome obstacles. All humans have had pain. All humans have had disappointments. And so I talk from places that I know all humans can relate to. There may be different aspects for everybody, but all of us can really connect on a soul level.
So can you tell us then, with that being said, and with diverse audiences, do you try to keep the people engaged via the cultural experience, or is it just the subcultures in general that you try to connect in doing the speech?
I think it depends. And I'll tell you, it depends on the audience. I look at audiences very differently. And just being, we're talking about even this platform, America in Black and White. It really depends on who my audience is. Because if it's a bunch of Black people in the audience, the talk is going to be more cultural. It's going to be, I'm going to talk more on a level that all of us have experienced certain things, and we understand it a little differently. However, if I've been where there's been predominantly 95% white audiences, and it's still that human aspect where I try to connect cultures. I try to connect commonalities, but it depends. My talks vary a little bit when I'm talking to people who look just like me, but people who don't look like me, which is most of my talks, I'm able to connect on a human level.
So what role does authenticity play in your speaking style?
I think that's everything. People listen to people who they believe are telling the truth. And earlier I was talking about me just trying to be as honest as I possibly can with me, about me. People resonate with truth. People, you look at the biggest entertainers, the biggest personalities, no matter how polarizing they may be, those people that are authentically them, people resonate with that. And so that's what I try to focus on, just being tapping into that authentic version of who I am and connecting it with my audience.
How do you measure the impact of your community engagement work?
I measure the impact by the amount of people that I can help positively. And I'm in a space where I realize I'm never going to know the true impact of my work. I have to be okay with that. So my job is just to give as much of me as I possibly can, because I realize every now and then I'll have people come and say, "Hey, this book really helped me," or "This talk you gave really helped me. And when you said this in the video, I could really relate to that." And that's good. And that inspires me and encourages me. But I realize, just like, not just say I'm comparing myself with those people, but like MLK and like Malcolm X and like all these great people, you'll never know the extent of how you really impact people. You just got to give as much as you can.
So, what challenges come with motivating others?
Whew. Motivating others is, I think it's hard because I know what motivates me, but that doesn't motivate everybody. So I talk from a personal standpoint, but I try to get an understanding, and it's a science to it. Even by the way the audience responds, I try to look at people's eyes and understand what connects with them, what's important to them. Because what I say to one audience could be extremely motivating. With another audience, they're like, okay, whatever. So it's really trying to connect with people on a soul level and find out what is it that moves them. Who are these? I want to know my audience. Like, who am I talking to? Like, just like everything with movies, they have to know the audience. Is it rated R? Is it PG-13? That determines the movie. And so my audience really determines how I give what I give.
So, how do you balance personal storytelling with universal lessons?
With my speaking, most of it is storytelling, and it's weaving in these lessons into my life. It's using my life as an example with the lessons I learned, teaching people other lessons. Like, that's the key, because we relate to stories because we relate to humans having experiences that are similar to ours. So I tell stories to let people know my human side and let people know my faults and my struggles and the pain I've gone through, because it's relatable. But I always weave in the lessons inside of those stories.
What advice do you give to young leaders in community building?
Ooh, the biggest advice I could give to young leaders is, one, I tell them, you don't have a lot of time. I know you're young and I know you think you have forever, but time is one of those things you don't have. Be the best version of you can be, and don't look for the approval of others. Be satisfied with the approval of yourself. As long as you make you happy and you make you proud, that's all that matters. Again, you can't make everybody happy.
So, how has traveling the country shaped your perspective on people and communities?
Drastically. Every place is different. The South is different than the Northeast. The Northeast is different than the Midwest. The Midwest is different than the West Coast. People just live differently. Their values are different, and so it broadens my horizons, and it makes me smarter because I understand more about life. Like, you really can't understand the world if you've only experienced your community and your small town and never seen anything else. You can understand how your community works, but when you see how other people live and how other areas operate, it gives you a much broader view of the world.
So, we had spoke about, we do Black History 365. And when I ask you who were the most influential persons in your life and career, you mentioned your sister and Nat Turner.
Yes.
Can you tell us, why is Black history so central to your work and message?
It's so central to my work and message because us as a people, Black people, we've had to overcome a lot. And Nat Turner is such a figure that I revere, because he is someone who had by most accounts, he had a horrible life. He was a slave. That's not a good life. But he decided he didn't want that life anymore, and he did something about it, despite what everybody else was doing, despite the laws at that time, despite the danger, he threw all of that to the wind and said, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change this. I'm not doing this anymore. That type of revolutionary thought process is everything to me. So and Nat Turner, what most people don't, you can Google him and it will say that, he led a slave rebellion. It was about 70, 75 people. He started off with 4 of them and, he killed about 55 people. All of that is lies. They downplayed the numbers because they didn't want it to be, even when the slave rebellion was going on, they didn't want America to panic and know what was really going on because people would have lost it. If they didn't know his true impact and the hundreds of lives that he was able to affect, I think when systems start lying on you, you're doing something right. And so him at a time where he understood that my mission could cost me my life, and I'm cool with that. And so that's a very brave and it's a very, very respectable stance to take. And that's why he's one of the people that I revere a lot.
So how has your sister influenced your life and career?
She's influenced it a whole lot. Like I look back on the memory of my sister. I look back on who my sister was to me, and her life is a reminder of me to really go now, because you never know when life is up for you. Like that, me losing my sister, it was all of a sudden. My sister was 18 years old, her senior year in high school, about to graduate high school. Like, you never know with life. Life is so short. And so she's such a motivation to me, because my goal in life is, amongst other things, to make her proud. Because I feel like I'm living for the both of us. Like, I want to make her proud of me. I want to make her memory something that drives me and causes other people to revere her by the way I go for her memory. So she's everything. Her memory is everything to me.
So what lessons did she teach you that continue to guide you today?
Oh my goodness. My sister at a very early age taught me what stubbornness and determination was really all about. Like every brother and sister, we didn't always get along. Me and my sister, we could fall out. We'd be fussing, and this literally happened like the last couple of years of her life. We could fall out. We'd be fussing, mad at her. I'm going off on her. She going off on me. Next moment, 20 minutes later, she could call me, hey, I need $20. Can you give me fine, I'll send it to you. Like, it's just, she taught me a lot about love, because no matter how mad I was at her, if I needed her, she was there. If she needed me, I was there. And she taught me, my sister she looked at life a little different than me. She was very courageous in certain things that she did. And she really, I applaud her, because she was authentically her. Like, when I look back on my sister was authentically her. And she kind of sometimes didn't care what you thought about it, even me. And it would frustrate me to no end, but she was authentically her. And those lessons really stuck with me. And that's a lot of why I do what I do now.
So why do you consider Nat Turner one of the most influential figures in your journey?
I would say because he doesn't get credit for it, but he sparked a different mindset amongst slaves in the South during that time. They heard of him and they heard of his success, and slaves that had never thought they would ever get out of slavery before, now, wait, if he can do it, and if he did that and freed so many others, like, it started to make them think, wait, I don't have to do this. This isn't I'm not relegated to this for the rest of my life. I don't have to be here. I don't have to continue to do this. His revolutionary mindset was so important that it began to shift. People don't even understand that when you look back at the Civil War, a lot of people say, oh, this was the cause, this was the cause. People have no idea how much Nat Turner shaped this country, and how much the fear of Nat Turner and the fear of there being other Nat Turners caused things to go from the you lead all the way up to the Civil War. His life, 30 years later, it sparked a chain reaction of rebellions for the next 30 years. And then you have the Civil War. We know the Civil War was all about them trying to unify the country. They knew everybody had to be free states or slave states that can't operate in tandem. But he, in my opinion, he sparked a lot of that. He sparked that mindset that started causing all these rebellions to pop up everywhere. And something had to be done about it. And I thank him for that boldness, and I'm inspired by it.
So what does Nat Turner's legacy mean to you personally?
Personally, I want to leave a legacy where people hear my name and they're inspired to do something better, to do something positive, to do something that maybe is not just status quo. That's what I want my life to mean. I want my life to give people permission to live their own dreams. I want my life to give people permission to be their authentic selves. I want my life to spark that desire in people and that mindset that I don't have to do what everybody says I have to do. I can do what's really on the inside of me. And that's the legacy I want to leave.
You know, and not like Nat Turner, but with your superhuman strength and abilities, and with you being a revolutionary in where you've been and how you've done things up to this point, how do you figure to get this out, not just to the masses, where everybody can see and know this is Rashaad Johnson? How do you actually get that done in setting that legacy going forward?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I think right now, my goal, I used to want to change the world, and I still want to change the world. But right now, I'm more focused on just being the best man I can be, because I think the best thing I can do is be an example. Like, you look at just polarizing figures, whether it's Michael Jordan to Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to whoever, to Gandhi, to all these figures, they were such above, their mentality and actions were such above the norm of that time. They did things that other people weren't willing to do. They put in work that other people weren't willing to put in. And so my goal right now is just to be that person. And I believe that's going to help change the world. That's going to help spark ideas that change the world and change other people. So I'm focused right now on just being the best me I can be. And as long as I continue to be consistent in being me, I think that fire will start to blaze.
So, how do you connect his story to your own mission of empowerment?
I think it's the spirit of this, the story. It's the spirit of the revolutionary mind, the spirit of the mind that's willing to think outside the box. The spirit of the mind is willing to risk it all and go against the grain. Even when I turned down the job coming out of college, like, that spirit has driven me my whole life. And so it's this the spirit of that type of mindset is what motivates me.
So, what parallels do you see between your sister's influence and Nat Turner's example?
The parallel would be that there's people that, and I love my sister to death, there's people that when they really get to know the reality of both of them, they would think both of them are a little wild. Like, whoa, like that person thought like that, that person said that person did this. Like, even my sister at a young age, she was walking kind of like me, walking to the beat of her own drum. Like, she did things her own way. She didn't want to do it. She didn't even want to do things like I did. And I was like the big brother and saying, well, this is what you should do. I don't want to do it like that. I don't want to do it the way you do it. And so, like, she was bold enough to say, this is how I think I should do it for me. Just like Nat Turner, he said, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. Not even for me, but for my people, for my nation, for the people to come. So I think that boldness in them is where I see the parallel.
So, how do you honor their impact in your daily work?
I think, and this is me being honest, some days I think I honor it, some days I think I dishonor it. Because some days I'm on point and I'm doing everything I need to do. And some days I look back and I'm like, Rashaad, you weren't productive today. You didn't do everything you need to do. And other people can look at my life like, oh, you did this and you did this. Even now, I'm like, okay, yes, I've written 2 books. Yes, I'm a speaker. I've flown all over the country speaking. But I haven't done nowhere near what I know I can do. And so that is what keeps me pressing. I'm not in a race or competition with anybody else. I'm in a competition with the dream that I have and with the idea of me that I know sits up here.
So, what messages do you want listeners to take away about the importance of these influences?
I think I want them to take away the message of, again, most importantly, authenticity. These people decided to go against the grain in whatever way it is, however it fits in your life. I'm not the type of person that just wants to go against the grain. I'm not one of those contrarians where if everybody goes left, I just want to go right just for the sake of being different. That's not me at all. I just want to do whatever it is I feel like I should do. A lot of times that goes against the grain. Not trying to go against the grain. I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to be authentic to myself. And that's my mindset.
Final question. How do you see your own legacy contributing to Black history in the future?
I see my legacy. I see me being a spoken Black history. And I seen one day a child reading about me and say, oh, he decided to do this and he decided to do this and he decided to do this. I have decided, and I try to blaze trails for others to follow. You know, I want to do things that make it easier for other people in the future. Just like our ancestors made it easier for us. They did things that now make things easier for us. When it comes to my children and everybody follows behind me, I'm like, I am running so you don't have to deal with this. Like I truly believe I'm gonna die a millionaire, and my children, like somebody got to hit $1 billion. Like if I get this, like you got to take it to the next level. Like listen, like this is where you are. I have no desire to be a billionaire. I would love it, but I have no desire to be a billionaire. I just want to be wealthy enough to where I don't want to have to worry about money. But I want the legacy that people look at me and say, hey, this man lived life on his own terms, and he really had a heart and a love for people. He made it better for us.
Well, Rashaad, I'll just tell you this. You are a wealthy man already. Just the thing is, we don't have to worry about the monetary value because it's not the monetary part that means everything. But you are a very wealthy man. And I can tell you that, the influences, the thought processes, your way of thinking, which actually brings other people into the world in which you've created, or the focus that you have, that in itself makes you a wealthy person. The thing is how big is that crowd going to get? How big do you want it to get? Because that's already there. You've already set that tone. So now that's just up to you as to how big that gets. Because, a lot of times we have a lot of great people like yourself, and I appreciate you for being on the show, is that when you have great people like yourself that are doing the things that you do, these are the things that we like to highlight. And I got to say, honestly, that, as we get down here to the end of this year, I got to say that, timing could not have been better for you to be a guest here on the show, because it's about impact. And I have to say that everybody that's going to look at this show is going to not only take notice to the work that you do, but they're going to want to know, who is Rashaad Johnson?
Wow.
That's the impact.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
And so, and to put the emphasis on, when you mention the title of the show, what I think a lot of people are misconstruing about the title of the show, because it says America in Black and White. America in Black and White is each and all of us, but it's about that authenticity that you mentioned. That's the thing. So I think when people see the guest, they get one interpretation that's off.
Got it. Gotcha.
So,
I
in closing, what are some of the words of wisdom and encouragement that you like to leave for our audience, and how they can connect with you via, how they can buy your books, how they can connect with you on social media, your websites, any of that good information that you'd like to leave?
leave with everybody. I would just encourage everybody, be yourself. A great reason is because everybody else is already taken. So you really don't have a choice, but be yourself. People can reach me, my website, www.rashaadj.com, and that's Rashaad. Almost misspelled my own name. RASHAADJ.com. You can reach me on social media at Rashaad IU, RASHAADIU, and that's Instagram, that's YouTube, that's TikTok. But that's how people can reach me. And so even people that are interested in my books can be bought off my website too. There's a link right there on my website. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the platform.
Yes, sir. And I want to thank each and every last one of you that are watching the show tonight. And I'll just ask that you guys please take that time, connect with Rashaad, get to learn a whole lot more about the great work that he's doing, but also get the understanding as to what it is to be a revolutionary. Because when we have young professionals such as him that are making differences and impact, and they're making things about the community, that is the person that you want to make sure you connect with, because building our communities mean more than you can ever imagine. So if you have not yet subscribed to any of our channels, especially the YouTube channels, I appreciate if you would please support us by subscribing to the YouTube channels, enabling all of the notifications. So each and every time we do a show, you will get the show live and also have the opportunity to go back and learn the messages of all of our previous guests. Just to a side note, we will, for our next season coming up, starting January 12th, we are creating a new segment, and we will be on live now 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Friday segment is called Final Word Friday. And that is something I want you guys to stay tuned to, listen to, check out all my social media posts. You get to learn about it. And for those of you that want to be a part of those panels, the 3-person panels on Friday, please make sure you reach out. We'll get you guys signed up, and you get to talk about not only the hot topics, but the things that matters most to you. Thank you again, Rashaad. I appreciate you for being here. Thank everybody for watching. Please join us again tomorrow night, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we here at America in Black and White will continue to color conversations on the canvas of America. I'm your host, Charles King. You guys have a great evening.